Alright, good morning. We're going to be doing some pancakes today for kind of our breakfast thing. So I've measured out roughly 3/4 cup of oatmeal here because it's just going to give us a little bit of a healthier pancake in the end. And I'm just going to blend this up a little bit. Now I'm going to take maybe a half cup or so of flour here. And again, I'm not really quite measuring yet, but I'm just going to go ahead and dump this into the sifter. Okay, and I'm going to take my baking powder. This calls for 3 teaspoons of my. Okay. I just want to get a nice little mix going on here with this, so I don't have like little clumps of baking powder in my end product, or salt. So that's 3 of the baking powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. This I changed bottles because I don't like the pour spout ones. It's so wasteful. So this is a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and this is iodized. You do need the iodine in your system to just live. So here we go. Sifting that up a fair amount. And I'm using a whole wheat flour here. You can use all-purpose, but again, that's going to be kind of a simpler carbohydrate, so it's going to be faster to break down in your system, and that's not as broken down as it wants to be. Alright. So now, I take my oatmeal and pour it into the cup. Oh no! Which is supposed to be 1 cup. Okay. And then I'm going to top it off with this guy right here. This is neat and clean as possible. It looks like it might be just about perfect there. A little closer than I would have liked it to be, but. Oh my gosh, that's like right on the money there. Alright, so there is my flour oatmeal mix. Again, this just makes it a little bit of a simple or more complex carbohydrate, so it breaks down slower in your system, therefore not spiking your blood sugar as much. Now, this also calls for 3/4 cup of milk. So I'm going to take Chobani low sugar yogurt, which is, I generally only use the vanilla for this type of thing. This is going to give it kind of a little bit of a different texture. And again, it's going to up the protein a little bit and give you a little more variance. Now it does say 3/4 cup milk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it into my wet measure here. And try to get it as low as possible. And then I'm going to measure my milk on top of it. Right? So I'm basically just substituting out a little bit of milk for yogurt here. Be close enough. And again, when I'm measuring wet ingredients, I want to make sure that I am measuring off the ictus. So again, gravity is pushing down on the liquid, which is going to make the outsides a little bit more higher than the middle, because there's more of weight basically on top of the middle, and that's going to spread it out. So I want to bring that middle point kind of up to that 3/4 mark. Just a little bit under there. All right. So now that I have the right amount of that, I'm going to drop in my 1 egg. And you don't have to, but I like to add some peanut butter. Again, I'm just going to give it some more nutritional diversity here. And you don't have to use a lot. That might be a bit much, right there-ish. Okay, and again, I'm not really measuring the peanut butter. It's not going to affect too much of how the end product turns out. It's going to make it thicker, so that's going to be a little bit more potentially problematic. So I've got my eggs up on medium here. I've sprayed in avocado oil. Put those guys in now that that pan is nice and hot. And now there's 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Again, I'm using avocado oil here. You know, you could probably use a peanut oil just fine. If this were more of a oil-heavy peanut butter like Adam's would be, which separates like crazy. You may not want to put oil in it at all, because it's already got it there. If you're using a more artificial peanut butter, which I hope you don't, which is going to be like your Jifs and whatnot, those have shortening already added to them to kind of give them that texture. So really what you're looking for when you're looking for peanut butter is just for it to just be made out of just straight up peanuts. I guess I haven't checked this one. This is the Kirkland organic peanut butter. It's got dry roasted organic peanuts and sea salt, and that is it. So I mixed those together. I've got my wet ingredients here, I've got my drying ingredients here, and I have forgotten the sugar. So we're using a dark brown sugar here, and it calls for 1 teaspoon. Tablespoon. That teaspoon was a bit small for this. Alright. So I'm going to start heating up my pan at kind of a medium-low. Some stoves you might have to go up to a medium more, and some stoves you might want to go up to a lower setting. So this one, because it tends to cook hot, I'm going a little bit on the low side. And I'm mixing it in here because I want to have a little horsepower. Now at this point you could add berries to this, you could add chocolate chips if you wanted to, just be a little bit, usually darker chocolate is going to be better, just because you'll need to use less in order to feel more satisfied with it. And because of the peanut butter and all this, I'm still probably going to have to use something to spoon this out. So, get that guy out of there. Oh, that was loud. Alright, time to flip those eggs. Now, since the eggs kind of were smaller and they didn't connect, that was a bit hot for them anyways, but we'll flip them over. And really when I flip over eggs, if I wanted to kind of stay on kind of that medium to medium-low kind of heat for that, or, you know, having it less well done, I just flip it over, maybe up to 20 seconds or so. Not a long time, just enough to kind of make sure that the both sides are kind of cooked there. So, and Jet likes them to be a little bit on the runny side, so there we have the eggs. So messy, so messy. So basically what you want as far as your temperature goes, and the way that my mom had said to do it is to kind of just spritz a little bit of water in there and see how it reacts in there, and if it like boils off really quickly, then you know it's hot enough. I can actually feel that this is actually getting pretty close to hot enough. You see how quickly the butter is melting. Generally speaking, you don't want it too hot, because what's going to happen is that you're going to have the noodles become incredibly well cooked, or the outside really well cooked and burnt, with the middles not, especially with the thickening things that we put in here, like peanut butter and the yogurt. So you can see that that's already sitting fairly thick there. And again, you can put strawberries in here, you can put bananas or whatever in here. I'm just kind of keeping this very basic and simple for y'all. Yeah, I'm from the South, believe it or not. I hail a little bit from Mississippi, so if I use y'all, then it's... Sorry! Haven't been there in probably 15 years though, so. So you can see this is probably about as well done as you want the outside to be on both sides. And it was still a little bit wet on the flip, a little bit more so than I wanted it to be, which means that my temperature was a little too high, so I've taken that down a little bit. One other note here is if you don't want to like really screw with the thickness too much, then instead of using peanut butters, you might use some chopped nuts like pecans or peanuts or almonds. Pecans or almonds are probably going to be, and walnuts would probably be your best bet, because those are going to be the higher micronutrient and healthier nuts. Again, peanuts are not nuts; they're actually legumes. But you know, life. So I will do this usually with just one pancake, and I'll just kind of push down aside and look to see if it's still soupy on the inside, and I can see that it's not. So we're probably pretty good here, actually. Let's see where we are on the other side. So you see about the same level of doneness there. This up, and that would be Jed's breakfast right there. Now, I'm going to be saucing these up with some leftover lemon curd from the other day, which, again, was made from scratch. Basically, the thing about lemon curd is that the way that you're going to make that, and since I've already got it made, I'm not going to demonstrate it today, but I'll do it another time, is anytime that you're making like a gravy or something that has a thickener in it, because I'm a little bit not very tolerant of eggs, I try to avoid using eggs in it, so I use it as a cornstarch base. Basically what you want, that's still a bit high, I'm actually going to remove that from the heat. Yep, that's high. A little satisfying, actually. Is that when you're doing anything that has a thickener like flour or cornstarch, what you want to do is you want to put the thickener with some of your wet ingredient into a cup or measuring cup or something like that, while the other stuff is in the pan getting hot, and you want to mix that that thickener like the flour or the cornstarch until it's well incorporated into whatever you're making, right? Into the liquid elements. Because if you put it directly into the hot bath that is your sauce, what's going to happen is the outsides of the powder of the flour cornstarch is going to become hard, and it's going to insulate the cornstarch and the flour that's on the inside of those little balls, and they're not going to break down and actually incorporate into whatever you're making. So you need to pre-mix that into one big liquid mass, and then you want to whisk that in really fast, into your boiling liquid. And you don't want to put the thickener in too early, because you will likely start to scorch your whatever you're trying to make, like whether it's a gravy or a lemon curd or whatever, and it will become will be a burnt mess before you actually get to the level that you want it to be at. So basically, you're going to boil things first: the sugar, lemon juice, and water, and then you're going to add the cornstarch mixture to that once it's already in that heat. Now, if you're going to be adding eggs, usually some recipes will call for just egg yolk, but you do want to basically pre-whisk that in a bowl so it becomes one solid mass, and then you're going to whisk the hell out of it as you're pouring the egg into the mixture, right? Because otherwise what you're going to get is you're going to get like strings of egg white and strings of egg yolk mixed in there, and it's not going to actually bind the wet ingredients together, right? So you want to get up to that heat, and then you want to whisk like crazy so that it becomes completely well incorporated with everything, and then it will bind everything together in a nice, clean manner. So that's what I have for you guys this morning. So we've got fried eggs, we've got some oatmeal peanut butter pancakes with Greek yogurt in them, and lemon curd. And generally, you can use whatever recipe you find for the lemon curd. That's perfectly fine. Just keep in mind about the incorporating of stuff later on, because that's where a lot of people just get screwed up, is they just kind of dump the cornstarch in there, or they start with the cornstarch in there, or the flour in there, or the egg in there already, and they're just going to end up creating this burnt mess, and we don't want that. So that's what I got for you guys today. Enjoy your breakfast, and I will see you next time.